The Lantern Keeper's Oath. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and old magic as the Lantern Keeper leaned on his staff, his crimson cloak pooling around him like blood against the barren ground. He stared at the twisted trees overhead, their branches gnarled and etched with glowing veins of red, as if the forest itself pulsed with some ancient, restless energy. Hanging from the trees were golden lanterns that flickered faintly, their light dim but persistent. "You shouldn't be here," a voice called from the shadows. He tightened his grip on the staff but did not turn. His voice, steady and sharp, sliced through the gloom. "Neither should you, Shade. Yet here you are." From the darkness, a figure emerged, a man cloaked in rags, his face obscured by the shifting shadows that seemed to cling to him like a second skin. "I mean no harm, Keeper. But the forest, it does not forgive trespassers." "The forest and I have an understanding," the Keeper replied, his gaze still fixed on the glowing lanterns. "It takes what it must. I take what I must. We coexist." The Shade tilted his head, as if amused. Coexistence. An interesting word for one who holds the light while surrounded by the dark. Finally, the Keeper turned to face him, his eyes sharp beneath the hood of his cloak. "And what are you, Shade?" "Darkness given form. A thief of light. Or just another lost soul seeking salvation in a place that offers none." The Shade chuckled, a low, gravelly sound. "Perhaps all of the above. Or perhaps I am simply a messenger." His expression did not waver. "If you are a messenger, then speak your message and be gone. My time is not yours to waste." The Shade stepped closer, his presence unsettling but not outright threatening. "The lanterns you keep, Keeper. Do you know what they truly are?" "Of course I do," the Keeper said sharply. "They are the souls of the forgotten, the remnants of those who strayed too far into the void. It is my duty to guard them, to ensure their light does not extinguish entirely." "And do you know why they were forgotten?" the Shade asked, his tone almost mocking. The Keeper bristled but held his ground. "Because the world is cruel and memory is fleeting. It is not my place to question why, only to ensure that their light endures." The Shade chuckled again, this time with a hint of sadness. "Such conviction. And yet, you do not see the full truth." "Then enlighten me," the Keeper challenged, his grip on the staff tightening. The Shade gestured to the lanterns, their faint golden glow casting long shadows across the forest floor. "Each light you guard is not just a soul, Keeper. It is a story, a fragment of a life once lived. But the forest, it hungers. It feeds on these stories, twists them, erases them. You think you are preserving them, but you are merely delaying the inevitable." The Keeper stared at him, his eyes narrowing. "And what would you have me do? Abandon my post? Let the forest consume them all at once?" The Shade shook his head. "No, Keeper. I would have you listen. The forest may be cruel, but it is not mindless. It remembers, even when the world does not. The lanterns you protect, they are not meant to last forever. They are meant to guide." "Guide?" the Keeper echoed, suspicion lacing his voice. "Guide who? Or what?" "Those who are lost," the Shade replied simply. "The forest is not just a place of endings. It is a place of beginnings. But only if you are willing to let go." The Keeper took a step back, his flame-bright eyes flickering with uncertainty. "You speak in riddles, Shade. If you have a point, make it." The Shade smiled, a shadowy grin that sent a chill down the Keeper's spine. "You cling to the light because you fear the dark. But the dark is not your enemy, Keeper. It is your ally. Without it, the light has no meaning. Without it, the lanterns cannot fulfill their purpose. And what purpose is that? The keeper demanded, his voice rising. To guide the way, the shade said, his tone gentle now. To show the lost that even in the darkest night, there is a path. But that path cannot be found if you hoard the light. You must let it go, keeper. Let the lanterns lead. The keeper shook his head, his staff glowing faintly as his own magic flared in defiance. You ask too much. If I release the lanterns, the forest will devour them. They will be lost forever. Will they? The shade asked, his voice a whisper now. Or will they finally find their way home? The words hung in the air like a heavy fog, and for a moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath. The lantern keeper looked at the golden lights, their glow fragile but persistent, and felt a pang of doubt pierce his resolve. You ask me to betray my duty, he said quietly. No, the shade replied. I ask you to fulfill it. The keeper turned away from him, his mind racing. The lanterns flickered, their light dancing like fireflies in the still air. He had spent countless years guarding them, protecting them from the encroaching darkness. To let them go now felt like a betrayal, not just to his duty, but to the souls themselves. And yet, there was a part of him that wondered. Had he been clinging to the light out of duty, or out of fear? If I release them, he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper, what will happen to them? The shade stepped closer, his presence both comforting and unsettling. Some will fade, their light too faint to endure. But others will shine brighter than ever. They will become beacons, guiding the way for those who come after. And in doing so, they will ensure that their stories are not forgotten. The keeper closed his eyes, his grip on the staff loosening. The weight of his duty pressed down on him, but so too did the possibility of something greater. Could he truly let go? Could he trust the forest, the darkness, to preserve what he had fought so hard to protect? When he opened his eyes, his gaze was steady. If I do this, shade, there is no turning back. The shade nodded, his shadowy form flickering like the lanterns themselves. There never was, keeper. The path forward is the only one that matters. The keeper took a deep breath, then raised his staff. The lanterns flickered brighter, their golden light casting long shadows across the forest. One by one, they began to rise, their light growing stronger as they floated higher into the canopy. The forest seemed to come alive, its branches creaking and groaning as the lanterns ascended. The shade watched silently, his expression unreadable. As the last lantern rose into the sky, the keeper lowered his staff, his shoulders slumping with exhaustion. The forest was darker now, the absence of the lantern's glow leaving an emptiness that was almost palpable. And yet, in that darkness, he saw something he had not noticed before, tiny sparks of light, scattered among the trees like stars in the night sky. They were faint, but they were there, flickering with a quiet resilience. The light endures, the shade said softly. Even in the darkest places. The keeper turned to him, his expression thoughtful. And what of you, shade? What is your purpose in all of this? The shade smiled, a shadowy grin that held both sadness and hope. I am but a guide, keeper. Nothing more, nothing less. With that, he turned and melted back into the shadows, leaving the keeper alone in the silent, darkened forest. He stood there for a long time, his staff glowing faintly in his hand, and watched as the tiny sparks of light began to spread, their glow growing stronger with each passing moment. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, he felt a sense of peace. The lanterns were gone, but their light remained, scattered among the trees like seeds waiting to bloom. And as he turned to leave the forest, his crimson cloak trailing behind him, he realized that his duty had not ended. It had only just begun.